everyone, it's me and my dog here, and we're gonna be doing my August and September wrap-up. So if you hear any noises in the background, it's just my dog. Also, let me know what you think of this setup. I'm trying something new. I'm using my red reading chair. I feel like it really brings out my lipstick. And I also put lights on my bookshelf and reorganized it, and I'm pumped. Right, so I'm doing both August and September together because in August all I read was one graphic novel, while in September I read 6 graphic novels and 3 books. So I'm guessing this is going to be quite a long wrap up, so I recommend you grab a cup of tea and let's talk about all the books that I read. So I'm going to start with the one that I finished first and just go through them in the order that I read them throughout the month. So the first one was the only thing I read in August, and that was Monstress Volume 2. I've talked about this series on my channel a lot. If you're into fantasy, you should definitely pick it up. It's so amazing. The art style is amazing. And I won't spoil anything from the second volume, but if you read the first one, the only thing I want to say is that you do get some more answers, but there's still a lot that we don't know, and we get to explore the world a little bit more, which I really, really loved. So in this story, we follow Maika, and she has this demon monster thing. We're not quite sure what it is, and you're trying to figure out what it is and what's going on in this world, because we have humans and we have gods, and then we have people that are half human, half gods, and there's a war between the different breeds. It's just so amazing. So yeah, as I said, if you like fantasy and you think this art style looks intriguing, pick it up. So the next thing that I read was the I Have Fairyland Book 1. This is both volume 1 and 2. It's amazing. I already read this, just not in this format. I read the individual volumes, and I love them just as much the second time around. Not sure if I said, but I gave Monstress Volume 2 5 stars. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. We follow a girl named Gertrude that comes into Fairyland when she's 6 years old, and she has been stuck in Fairyland for over 30 years trying to figure her way out. It is hands down my favorite graphic novel series of all time. It is so hilarious. It has adult humor, but the coloring are like pastel, and it's just, I'm mind blown every time I read this, so I highly recommend picking it up. And I read this because I wanted to move on to the series, which I did, and I went on to Volume 3, Good Girl. And I'm not going to say anything about this because it's a continuation. I've already talked about this series, and I gave the third volume 5 out of 5 stars as well. The next thing that I picked up was I Hate Image. This is the same character from the I Hate Fairyland, but it's just a single special edition spin-off thing, and it's hilarious. If you've read the I Hate Fairyland, I highly, highly recommend picking this up, especially if you have read other Image comics, because The Walking Dead is in this, the people from Paper Girls are in this, and a lot of other famous Image comics. So I think you'll find this as hilarious as I did, so of course I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I finished my first book of the month, which was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. In this one, I ended up giving a 3 out of 5 stars too. As you can see, I had a lot of feelings on this. I read this for the A Darker Shade of Magic read-along, which I have not continued with because I'm still not sure if I'm going to continue this series. I felt like the book kind of stood on its own. I don't really feel that intrigued to continue. I did like one of the characters, Kel, but I wasn't a big fan of Lila. Just some of the things she says and does, I'm like, Like one time in the book, she's criticizing other girls that have chosen different lifestyle to her, and I just didn't really like that. So she's talking about the girls. She's talking about like pretty girls, and pretty wouldn't serve her well. Lord knew she didn't envy the ladies with their sinister corset and abundant skirts, their falsetto laughs, and the ridiculous way they used them, the way they swooned and leaned on men, feigning weakness to savor their strength. Why anyone would ever pretend to be weak was beyond her. And I just think like they were coping with things in a different way, and I think just because they didn't decide to go and steal to get through life, like that was their way of coping, and I just didn't really like that. And when she's taking stuff from her, she says that it felt right to do that because it served them right for playing weak, and I just didn't really like how she was talking to those other ladies. I did really like Kel and Lila together, or they're not romantically, but their banter and stuff. I found that really, really enjoyable. One thing I do love is V.E. Schwab's writing. Most of these are just things that she's written that I just loved. But all in all, the plot was just okay. There was no plot twist really, and the way that it ended just left me okay. It was an okay book with an okay story, but I'm not in love with this book. I might continue this series in the future. I know they're releasing other collector's editions, so I might wait for those to come out and then pick it back up. But as of now, I'm just content having read this one. And then I picked up another graphic novel, which was Spell on Wheels. This one I ended up giving 4 out of 5 stars too. I really enjoyed the art style of this and the characters, but I felt like the plot was a little bit lacking. I do hope that they come out with something else within this universe, because I feel like there's still some things they could play with. But we're following these 3 witches, and somebody robs their house, and they're trying to figure out who did it and get their stuff back. I found all the characters likable, and I really liked the witchy element of it. I kind of wish that I saved this for October, but my sister read it and I wanted to read it so we could talk about it. But I do think if you find this interesting, you should definitely give it a go. And then I picked up another 4-star graphic novels, which was Mega Princess. I'm not gonna lie, I love things that are meant for a younger audience, which this is. But when I started reading on the back of it and the princess name is Max, which is my boyfriend's name, I thought I just had to pick it up. But we're following Princess Max, and she wants to be a detective, but because she's a princess, that's not really what she's supposed to do. On her 10th birthday, her fairy godmother comes to give her her princess powers, and her little brother goes missing, so she gets to be a detective and try and figure out who stole her little brother. I'm gonna be honest and say this was super cute. I love the art style, love the colors. I actually really enjoyed the humor. As I said, this is meant for a younger audience, but I didn't mind that because I will forever be a child. But I thought all the characters in here were so lovely, and I'm gonna hold on to this in case I ever have my own children so I can read this to them, because I really enjoyed this. And then I read an ebook, which is The Sweetest Kind of Poison. And this is a book of poetry written by a fellow booktuber, so I'll have her channel linked down below. I've watched Katie's channel for a while, and I really like her content, so I wanted to check out her poetry book. There were a few poems that I related to, but I didn't cry, which is what I usually do when I read poetry. The reason why I was intrigued to pick it up was that it deals with an abusive relationship, but I believe her experiences and mine are quite different. A lot of the poems focus more on having left your abuser, but your heart still loving them, which I think is relatable for a lot of people, but just not for me. I never felt any love towards my abuser after getting out of that environment. I never looked back, never wanted to go back. So therefore, a lot of the poems I didn't relate to in that way. However, if you've been in a romantic abusive relationship, I think you might get a lot more out of this one. So I would recommend it for those people. Of course, it can be triggering. I just don't think I was the right audience for this book, but I have to read it on my own enjoyment, so therefore I gave it a 3-star rating. And then I read another book, which was To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han, and oh my god, I love this. This made me have a huge identity crisis, because I've always said that I don't really like contemporaries. If you've been around on my channel, you know that I almost only read fantasy and very rarely pick up a contemporary. I think this is maybe my 3rd or 4th this year, but oh my god, I loved it. So if you haven't heard about this book or the movie that they made out of this book, which by the way was also super cute, I would recommend watching that as well. We follow Lara Jean, and when she wants to get over someone that she has a crush on, she writes them a letter and then just puts it away in a hat box in the closet. But one day, all her letters are actually sent out, and she has to deal with the consequences of this happening. I found this super cute. I totally shipped the couple. I know there is 2 more books in this series, and if they don't end up together, I'm gonna be so mad. I really related to Lara Jean as well. She loves baking, which I love. She's kind of nerdy and quirky. What I also really enjoyed with this book, that it also had some plot twist, or at least a plot that I couldn't really see coming. Maybe it's just because I don't read a lot of contemporaries, but I didn't really know where the story was going the entire time. I loved it, as you can tell by all my tabs. I loved Lara Jean, I loved her sisters, I loved their relationship, I just loved all the characters, everything. If you can't tell, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I can't wait to read the next book. Super excited. I need to calm down. I don't read a lot of contemporaries and I love this, so either I need to pick up more contemporaries, please leave me any recommendations in the comments, or maybe this is just that good. I think you should pick it up and see. And then to finish up this wrap up, the last graphic novel that I read this month was Moonstruck Volume 1, and this was a disappointment. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I really thought that I would enjoy this more. It's a female-female romance. The art style is super cute, the colors are adorable, but the plot was just... There were so many things that weren't explained, and I don't mean in that, oh, we're gonna find out next thing. They were just... things just happened and there was no logical reasoning for anything, which made me quite upset, and I really wanted to love this. So basically we followed Julie and her girlfriend Selena and their friend Chet, and Chet gets a spell set on him and they have to undo the spell basically. What I really liked about this book was the world and the characters, and the fact that in this world you have humans and you have werewolves and every other magical creature that I don't know the English name of. I really did like this, and if the next one gets really good reviews, I might continue this series, but as of now, I'm not going to continue with it. So that was it for my wrap up, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you read this month. If you enjoyed this video, you can go ahead and give it a like. You can add me on Goodreads and Twitter. And if you enjoy hearing me ramble on about books, you can subscribe. So then I will see you in my next one.